Welcome to the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and the founder of the Write Your Own Story company. Girl, I can tell you right now, you are definitely enough. Here we value service, sisterhood, connection, laughter, and that super genuine, keep it real, tell you like it is honesty. My hope is at the end of each episode, you realize you can do whatever it is you dream about and that you are not alone with what you struggle with. I'm hoping that you are snapping and clapping and hell yes in your way through each one of these episodes. So if this tracks with you, let's get started. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and I'm so excited because I'm here today with Danielle from Simplified in Style.
Hi.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. I have 400 trillion questions for you.
Thank you for having me.
So Danielle is a professional organizer here in Cincinnati, and I feel like I've known you forever because I've followed you on social forever. But I think we really, truly met when I hired you to organize my life after I got divorced, which pause for a moment. If there's anyone going through a major life change, it is so cathartic to have, if you can, to have someone come in and help you reorganize everything, refresh spaces, like just kind of put things back together. I cannot tell you how healing that was.
Yeah.
Your team was so wonderful and so sensitive. My kids were so excited. It was just like, I had you do kitchen, basement, garage. And I think I keep having you come back for more because you guys are so good. But yes, so that is how we know each other. And really, I like to start each episode with an intention. And I cannot wait to talk to you all about your business. So I want to talk about that and get people inspired. But most importantly, can you please help us figure out how to get organized for summer?
Let's do it.
Because I don't know about you guys out there, but my house literally explodes in the summer. The kids are home, and it's like, as much as you try and pick up after them or encourage them to pick up, they just move from room to room, and you're in and out of the house to all the camps. And I already have anxiety just thinking about it. Okay. So before we get diving into questions, would you mind just giving us a little bio rundown?
Sure. Yeah. So, first of all, before I started my business, I was a kindergarten teacher.
Oh my God, I forgot that.
Yes. So I was a kindergarten teacher, and I remember sitting in my classroom one day, and I knew just had my second son, and I knew that I didn't want to do teaching forever. I knew I wanted something else. I wanted more time with my kids, which is so funny now looking back because I wanted more time, and now I'm like, oh, I'm running a full-time business. But I wanted to do something else, and I was sitting with a friend, and she was like, you should be an organizer. And I was like, that's not a thing. Like, sounds like a dream job, but that's not a thing.
Right.
And I would help all the teachers do their classrooms, and that was my favorite part of the year, getting ready and organizing.
I love it.
And so that night I went home and I Googled, what is a professional organizer? And turns out it's a thing.
It's literally a thing. But I love that you're on the front end of the wave because it is like a thing
now it is. Back then it wasn't really a thing. Like we were one of the only companies in Cincinnati that had a team. But it was a thing. And so I started the business. That was back in 2015.
Okay.
So
oh my gosh.
9 years. And I just went for it.
It's so inspiring. I could not be more obsessed because I've loved watching how you show up on social. I've loved how you have structured your business and sort of morphed. So we're going to get into all that before I just get too excited. But first and foremost, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. I just love you as a human and as a boss lady and all the things. So this is going to be so fun. Okay. So step one, I think we kind of covered like why you got into organizing. Clearly it is like in your wheelhouse and you have an absolute passion for it. Can you talk me through like, how did you originally, like, how do you get started?
Yeah. So most people start with friends and family, and I did a little bit of that, but I was just kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to start a website. I'm going to put it out there.
Awesome.
And I remember the first client calling, and I had no idea what I was doing.
Totally. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
Absolutely no idea. So it's just kind of fake it till you make it. Yep. And I just started and I went for it. And luckily we had some really great clients. And I think that, at the beginning you say yes to everything.
Yes.
And so even if I didn't know what I was doing, I tried it and did it.
I love it. Honestly, truly, if you really want this and go for it, just do your best, fake it till you make it. You'll get there because you have.
Yeah. And it's funny because when I was younger, even all the way through college and really even after college, I was so shy. Like would
Oh,
not talk to anyone,
I
would
would
not.
never guess that.
I know. And my mom, when I was in high school, I got a job at Perkins, being a waitress.
Oh,
And my mom was like, you have to talk to people,
oh
right?
my
Like
God.
that is not a job for you. And I did it. And now, like looking back at like how I used to be and how
Yep.
I am now, it's like totally night and day. And I think the difference is because this is something I'm passionate about. And
Yeah.
I love organizing. I could talk about it all day long, which
Great.
I know makes me sound like a psycho, but
No, I think
I love
literally,
it.
I also absolutely love
Yeah.
organizing. But it is like finding the time and the capacity to
Yes.
do it is often such the challenge. Or
Yeah.
like my signature move is I will like be like, okay, I'm going to organize this space, and then I'll buy the things to organize it.
Yeah.
And then I've run out of steam. Apparently
Right.
I've run out of dopamine.
Yes.
And then I'm
Yes.
like, I don't want to actually put all the cans in the thing
Yeah.
and whatever. But so that's when I call you and I'm like,
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
Um,
We always tell people like it's hard for us when it's our stuff too. When
oh
we come in,
yeah.
like it's not our stuff. So
Yeah.
it's easy for us to look at it from an outsider's perspective and say, like, okay, what do you want to keep? What do you not want to keep? And then let's create a system and put it away. But when it's your stuff, there's different attachments to it.
Yes.
So it's hard for me too at my own house.
Yes.
I'm feeling all the same things that you feel as a client.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
When I'm at my own house. So,
Okay, let's
yeah.
get real. Do you have any messy parts of your house? You don't, do you? Just be honest.
I'm going to be honest. I do not. But does my house get messy? Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yes.
But there's not any areas of my house that are not organized. And I think it's kind of two things. One, I have a smaller house and I have to be really intentional about what I bring into it.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Clutter overwhelms me. And
Samesies.
so I have to be intentional about constantly decluttering my house so that it doesn't ever get to that overwhelming place.
How do you do that with two kids who like, I mean, boys, it's two, you have two boys.
Yes.
My boys love stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and especially
Yeah.
like when they were younger, I mean, my littlest two are 8 and they're still like, they play with like the spinny top,
Yes.
like dreidel cute thing. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, or just a bouncy ball all over the house still. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Cause I love throwing things out. It's my favorite
Yes.
thing to do in the house.
I think part of it is, and I know we'll talk more about this, but really empowering kids to be a part of that process, the editing process. But I, from a very young age, really talked to my kids about and made them do the process of going through things.
Yeah.
My kind of go-to system for kids is like, you can have bins with their toys, but then you always need a bin of just like their treasures. And so when that gets too full, then my kids have to edit that.
Edit it.
And so, and I never dictate what, what they can keep or what they can't keep out of that bin. That's like their treasures. But if it gets too full, they have to edit it.
They have to edit. I love that.
That's where like all the like, things from birthday parties and all that, it all goes in their little treasure bin and then they have to edit it.
I love that because I think they're going to come home with so many treasures this summer. Okay,
Yes.
we'll get into that. I love tangents.
Yes.
So you just hold on to this ride that we're going to go on. So when you first started your business, you had your website launched on social, I assume, some friends and family, but like really went for it. How did you did you have an initial offering? Like I have some friends who want to be organizers that are like, I really want to specialize in closets or bathrooms, or like, how did you structure to get started? And
so the way that I structured at the beginning is very different from what it looks like now, but it was very one-on-one. So it was just me and the client and we had 3-hour sessions. So we would go in, it was very much like the client was very involved. Whereas now the client is not as involved in our process. So that's kind of evolved over time. So we would have these, short 3-hour sessions. We would do any space in the house, but it was kind of like this, almost like a meeting with a personal trainer.
Totally.
You would meet with them. We would meet once a week or once a month for however many months. And, and we would work through their house. And so obviously very different than what we do now, but that's kind of how we started. And over time I learned like what worked about that, what didn't work. And now here we are now.
I know. So now from a client's experience, you come in with a team of people. I give you certain zones within the house. I love to say zones because I watch The Home Edit with my kids. We binge watch that show and I throw out zones. Like it is the lead. I'm like, that's a zone. This is a zone. That's the only, like they said that so many times on the show. And I just feel like a professional organizer every time I say it.
You sound like one when you say it.
Thank you. The zone. So I would be like, this last time I redid my basement and there's like the storage side of my basement, which you had already organized for me, that like anything that got cut from the other zones of the basement, I said zones again, got shoved into that room. And like, this was embarrassing to send you because you couldn't even walk through it. Like I had construction crews, like pushing stuff in there. I was pushing my feelings in there, everything. And I think I was even out of town when you guys first started. And I was like, SOS. So
Yeah.
it is truly like so a whole team of people came in and you were done in a day,
Yeah. So
not even a day.
that's really the way we do it now. It's less client involvement, which really we learned over time that it's really overwhelming for the client to be involved in the entire process. And that's
Yeah.
kind of why we do it this way now. So instead of having the client be with us the whole time, we can pull everything out. We can sort it. We only really need you for that editing piece, that yes,
Yeah.
no. And so it really simplifies it for the client and makes it this kind of like done in a day. And everyone now loves the like, transformation piece of it. So if we can
Yes.
give that transformation in a day, that's what we really aim for.
And that's so smart to be like, wait, these people also need time back. And you just
Yes.
don't know that until you live in your business a little bit and
Yeah.
wiggle through it. We were just talking off camera, like that is where I am in my business too. And this is for everyone in my female founders class right now. Like we're all like, okay, here's where we're starting, but we're being broad and simple enough with the construct of our
Yeah.
business that you can ebb and flow and change.
Right.
Okay. So your original intention, I think we were talking off camera. I can't remember if it was on camera. So if we review ourselves, love us anyway, everyone. But your original intent was like, I want to work from 9 to 3 while my kids are at school. And then I'm a fully present mom when I'm home. How has that gone?
Well,
Let's
I
be
don't
honest.
just work from 9 to 3. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
even with a team of peeps.
Even with a team. Yeah. And I think, and now I think now it's a little bit different. I'm able to kind of take a step back.
Yeah.
But from year one until now, it's been a long road. It's been a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not 9 to 3. It's the stress, just the pressure that you feel as a business owner outside of the 9 to 3. Like I never can turn my brain off completely. It's not a corporate job or, a job where you can go and then clock out and go home. It's not that. It's constantly, and it's a good thing. Like I enjoy that piece of it. Like I enjoy getting excited about new ideas and things like that, but it's really hard to turn it off. And
I agree.
That's a big struggle.
And like, I think I think you're so not alone in that. Every entrepreneur has a hard time ever turning the brain off.
Yeah.
How do you edit? Oh my God, I didn't even do that on purpose. How did you edit? Like because I know you and I are so similar and it's like, I have a new idea. I'm so passionate about serving my clients that I'm like, this would be great. This would be great. How do you stop yourself from chasing all the shiny new bright ideas to stay focused on what you're set out to do?
To be honest, sometimes that's something I struggle with. I'm not good at it.
Same.
I'm not good at, when I do something, I do it and I'm all in on it. And like to a fault. And
Same.
So honestly, it takes like a season of burnout for me to realize like, I can't do this anymore. This is not maintainable.
Oh my God. Yes. I so connect to that. I'm also in a season of burnout right now and need to retool.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. And that's like, thank you for saying that because like women out there, if you're running your own business and you're in a season of burnout, like take a step back and figure out you can change it at any time. This is your business and it's your life.
Yeah. Yeah. In 2020, COVID, obviously, I really had to take a step back and it gave me an opportunity to step back because my kids were home. I had to think about, I couldn't work. I had to, think about what I wanted to do. And I shut down my business completely it only lasted for like 3 months.
Yeah. But still, what an emotional decision.
I shut it down and I was like all in on like, I can't do this anymore. And it only took 3 months for me to realize like, okay, I do want to do this. I just want to do it in a different way. I'm still passionate about organizing. It just needs to look different. And so that from 2020, and then I reopened January of 2021 and still COVID, but, I just was like, I want to do this differently. And that I went from having contractors, I transferred everybody over to employees.
Okay.
I really went.
Did that help with retention?
Yeah, it did. It helped with retention. It helped with training. That was the biggest piece of it.
Interesting.
With contractors, it gets a little tricky of like training them to actually do the skill that they're doing. So, being able to say like, this is how we fold or this is how we do this. Just really gave me more like control over that so that I could hire people, train them and not have to be so involved in the day-to-day because I trust and, know that they're trained to do it the way that I wanted to do them.
Absolutely. It's your business.
Yeah, exactly. So that was really a big turning point for me in completely restructuring how we did things. And I think that's really when everything kind of came together too. Like it felt like we were attracting the right clients. Everything felt easy after that. So that was a big turning point.
I think that's like just having these kinds of conversations is so important for women business owners to hear. And like, sometimes you just have to take a breath and pivot and that's okay. And you're still under the umbrella of everything that you wanted to do. It's just how you get it done. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So That is, I like geek out on business. So thank you
Yeah.
for geeking out on business with me. I could talk about this kind of stuff all day long, but I
Same.
also know that our listeners, so many of them are moms and desperately want to know how to get organized. My biggest fear right now is summer, as I had mentioned
Yeah.
before. I love summertime with my kids. I love not having to rush to get them on the bus or to school. They're all old enough now that like everyone is surviving. Yes, we may break bones and do stitches
Yeah.
every once in a while. So many boys around, but I don't know. It's easier now.
Yeah.
But I do a lot more driving. That said, like friends, my house is open door and we live in a neighborhood. Friends are in and out. We're
Yes.
going to the pool. We're getting out of the pool. Like I have a hot tub. We're towels everywhere. I'm okay. I'm fine. Tell me how I can get organized or set up and survive summer. What am I
Okay.
doing?
Yeah. So I think first of all, you want to start with a system and you want to
Yes.
start with editing.
Okay.
It's time to edit before summer comes
Okay.
because
Yes.
all the stuff is coming home.
Yes.
That's coming.
Yes.
The towels everywhere, everything. So
Towels.
like get all the winter stuff out of the mudroom.
Yes. Oh my God.
Clear that out.
Okay.
Clear out the garage. That's a
Yes.
big one.
Uh-huh.
Any place that is going to be high touch in the summer.
Yes.
Start with those.
Let's identify high touch zones. Okay.
Yeah. So mudroom,
Yep.
garage, pantry.
Yes.
Anything that you think about like where friends might be.
Right. Totally.
Even inside on rainy days, like toys, things like that.
Yeah. Basement.
Yeah.
If it's finished or whatever,
exactly.
Wherever that like hangout area is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like a swim bin, like check their clothes, switch out the clothes seasonally, things like that.
Yeah.
Which I know all that sounds like a lot. So start small.
I know, but like honestly, I still have winter hats, winter coats everywhere. And like it brings me so much joy to think about removing all of that from the mudroom.
Yes.
The mudroom is finally going to be able to breathe again. My mudroom is not big enough for 4 kids, but we make it work and it is just a stuffed sausage.
Yeah.
But in summertime, I mean, yes, it transitions to a lot of towels around, but it's so much better than backpacks, lunch bags, sports gear, like
yeah. I think in every space, just really thinking about what do you need now?
Yeah.
Like your closet even. Like it doesn't have to be filled with all the stuff that you're not using for another 6 months. Kids closets, especially.
Yes.
It's like, put the uniforms up high after school's out. Put the seasonal stuff, the winter coats, put it up high. You don't need it right now. Just make sure that you can only see what they really need. And that's easier for kids too. It makes it like less choices for them. They're not putting on sweatpants and a sweatshirt when it's, 75 degrees outside because they can only see the t-shirts and the shorts.
Right. So. And if you have boys, even when it's 35 degrees outside, we're just like a shorts to school.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, tangent, but seriously, what's going on? Okay. So we think about the zones and I love editing, decluttering. And I love the idea of like within your line of sight, because like, and I have twins and they share a room, but we only have one tiny closet and tons of dressers, but I have a ton of vertical space.
Right.
So I don't use that wisely now. So I will kind of use that and build up versus I've been putting stuff on their closet floor, but that gets so cluttery so fast. I'm going up, ladies.
Yeah. And we do say like the kind of main zone where you want to keep everything that you use often is kind of like knee to eye. So like where you can see from your eye to your knee, anything below or above is not something you would use like regularly.
Okay.
So,
okay.
That's kind of that's the main zone.
That's the main zone. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I guess it would be like Ethan and Alex's knee to eye, not my knee to eye.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it. Roger that. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So we're editing, we're zoning, we're putting things up high or putting things away.
Yeah.
Now, how do we we've got that all set up. All the stuff comes home from school.
Yeah.
Do we like pour a chalice of wine and edit that? Like, how do we get through that part? I don't like that part.
So kids' artwork is in like school papers and all that, all the stuff that gets home at the end sent home at the end of the year. I like to do kind of like a 3-step process with that. So I like to have a system as it's coming home that, I do my first edit, the spelling tests and things we don't need to keep. Those can get tossed. And then I put that all into a bin. And then after that, then I do a edit with my kids. So we have like all their stuff for the year. And then over the summer, we pick a rainy day and we get out all their stuff for the year and we look through it. And it's so fun for them to see like what they did at the beginning of the year and how their handwriting looked and what they wrote and to the end of the year. And we edit again and then we keep from there what we really want to save like long term. So
Yes, you literally got me for all the kids' artwork. You got me clear bins with
yep.
everyone's name labeled on it, and then
Yes.
like darker blue. They almost look like memory box
Yeah.
bins, and they're big. I don't do dimensions. It's
Yeah.
not how my brain works, but like how big are they?
They're like 12 by 17.
Yeah, so they're like long
Yeah.
and deep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like not just a piece of paper, it's an artwork kind of
Yes.
stitch. So
Mm-hmm.
like when I throw almost everything out, because I'm a cruel, cruel mother, but I do like, some of the stuff I'm like, they're going to love
Yeah.
these treasures. I will put them in the clear bins.
Yep.
And then when that gets too full, I should involve the kids, and I will moving forward, because I think
Yeah.
that's a really fun idea.
Yeah.
Although I have serious fear that like my children are hoarders, that they're going to be like, I'm keeping everything. But I will definitely try it.
Yeah.
And then, so when that starts to get full, then I'll put it, what I really care about or what I know they'll care about, into those blue bins. You set that up. I take no credit, but I just wanted to explain that because I love it. And I use it every single day when I clear out backpacks, especially for the little guys.
Yeah.
My middle schooler, on the other hand, his backpack weighs more than he does. I don't know how he's carrying this thing around, and I don't know what's in there, and I'm afraid to look.
Yes. Yeah. And we see a lot of homes. And so we see the people that are in their 60s, 70s, and they have bins and bins and bins and boxes of kids' artwork. And now they're like, I don't want to go through this.
No.
So set the system up now, because if you just keep everything, then nothing is special. So just keep the special things and not everything.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. That's amazing. Yeah. Okay. So we're editing, we're sorting, we're throwing a lot of things out, because that brings us joy.
Yes.
And then summer's out. What kind of are there grab and go? How do I set up the mudroom for summer? Can we go through a couple of those?
Absolutely.
Oh, God, I'm so excited. I can barely breathe.
So first, I would also say another big thing to do is have a family meeting.
Ooh.
And I did this before the school year. We did one midway through the school year, and then we'll do one right before summer.
Oh my gosh.
And this is we make a big deal about it. I send them invitations to the meetings.
Oh my God,
they have
that's
to
so
RSVP to it.
Cute.
We really make it a big deal. And
is your husband in on this?
Yes, he is in on it too. We all come to the meeting, and we usually plan it for a Sunday morning, and we do breakfast and we have the meeting together.
Yeah.
So we plan this meeting, and I get the big Post-its that you put up on the wall.
Yes.
And,
I also
meeting.
just got goosebumps again.
So we act like it's a big corporate meeting.
Corporate meeting. Yes.
Exactly. I send an agenda before
I love this.
to discuss. And then sometimes they have to fill out a questionnaire. And so for the beginning of the school year, it was things what sports do you want to do this year, kind of thing. And so for summer, it will be things what snacks do you hope we have in the pantry for when your friends come over? What camps do you want to go to? What chores do you want to do around the house?
Oh,
and so
I love that.
They're really taking ownership of everything. And my boys are 10 and 12. So, they're okay, Mom, this is not cool. But I promise you, they were so engaged. It was amazing. So the other trick I had was I just took little index cards and put little rewards on them, so that if they were participating in the meeting and they had good thoughts and good ideas, then I handed them out. And they were things DoorDash your dinner for the night, and little reward, an extra hour of screen time, things like that.
Oh my God.
So you have this meeting.
A kindergarten teacher.
I know.
Wait, I am literally taking
so easy
copious
this,
notes. Yeah.
So
I'm so inspired.
Have this meeting, and your kids will really start to take ownership of it. We did, so for chores, we did a draft style, a NFL draft style chore thing. So they got to, I put all the chores up on the wall, and then they picked, and it really then about halfway through the year, they were like, okay, can we switch chores? So we just had another meeting,
draft.
We did another draft, and they were able to switch chores.
That's cool.
So it really helps. And it also helps you because the last meeting we had, I was really struggling with meal planning.
Yes.
And
same girl.
I just I was tired of coming up with the meals.
Yeah.
I don't actually mind the prepping and the cooking, but I don't want to, I don't want to be the one okay, we're
the mental
have this
load
this week.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we sat at the meeting, and we made a list of 35 dinners that we all eat.
I love that.
And then every week we each pick one off of the thing, and then I make those 4 dinners for the week. And
I love that.
Our 4 meals. So it really helps take some of the mental load off of you.
Ooh.
And also gives them ownership of these tasks and being involved. I want these snacks, or I want this popsicle, or whatever.
I love that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So that's really going to set you up for success for the
summer. I feel so inspired. Okay, wait, can we tangent?
Yeah.
On the chores part, because this is something I struggle with. So I have tried every type of chore system, and I really struggle. I think I'm going to play the 4-kid part, but I think it's hard for everyone. I can teach one child how to do their chores and sort of stand by them as they do it.
Sure.
But day to day, like I've done like right now, I'm like, okay, everyone gets $7 for the
Yeah.
week. And every day you don't do your chores, you lose $1. No one
Yeah.
does their chores. And
Yeah.
I also don't have it in me to
Yeah.
like follow them around and be like, you didn't do it. You didn't do it.
Right.
I really wanted them to take ownership, but I feel like I need a better way. And I like this concept of giving them ownership and like, what chores are you going to do? It is
Yes.
guaranteed money on your green light.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, do I give them ownership for them to prove to me that they've done it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we just do like a little kind of, I call it like a routine chart, not chores. I don't know why that makes it sound better, but
I don't know. I'm into it. I love routine.
And so it's just like a little, I don't know, framed like dry erase kind of thing. Yeah. And so they check it off, and now they don't even really use it. Like it's just part of their routine, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, it's like you don't want to have to remind them all the time.
No, that's mental load.
Yeah. So I can just say like, have you checked off everything? And then they know to like go actually check it off. So that could be a checklist in their bedroom. It could be wherever it is, wherever the routine is. And eventually it will become a routine. I like to kind of think of chores as like not like every week you clean the bathroom or whatever. Instead it's like, if I say like, hey, can you help with the dishwasher? Like the answer is yes. It's part of being a part of our family.
So dishwasher is something
together.
We picked in the draft.
Well, that's something that we just like help each other. So the draft is like,
what's in the draft?
Like it's like walking the dogs.
Oh, nice.
Taking out the trash once a week, like little things. And there's not many like weekly chores that they have.
Do they have any
the rest
daily?
of it is make their bed, tidy up their room, things like that.
Do you expect that? I'm really getting in the weeds here because I'm dying on chores. Do you expect them to make their beds and straighten their room before they leave for school?
They do. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we live in a ranch house. So like I see their bedrooms
you're like, I
every
see
day.
you.
Yeah. And like, so I think that is like,
I'm
drives me crazy.
Yeah,
too.
totally. I'm on the first floor and they're all on the second floor. So I'm out of sight, out of mind. And I very much lean into that. I'm like, I can't look.
I have another little tip, which some people are going to think I'm crazy about this, but the way I got my kids,
I'm here for it,
to start making their beds is that I told them that if they made their beds in the morning, then I would give them turn down service at night.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I love that.
They make their beds in the morning and then at night I like go get their bed ready for them and I put a water on their table and they have like heated blankets. So I turn it on for them and then they get their bed ready.
I think that's
awesome. So they only get that if they make their bed in the morning.
Right.
So
and that's just
kindergarten teacher too.
Literally, I'm like, oh my God, I should have been a kindergarten. Yes. I should not have been a kindergarten teacher, for the record. No one wants that, but I love that. Okay. So then those are just your simple daily chores. I think I have too many daily chores. My kids are great if I'm like, hey, I could just genuinely use some help with the groceries. Yes. Can you guys help? And like, I can kind of keep track of like, I've asked Ethan and Alex to help recently. Hayden and Adeline, you're up, or like whatever it may be.
But I think that's the key. Like I try to minimize the daily chores.
That's key.
And then the rest is just like family stuff, like help, unload the dishwasher, help clean up after dinner, things like that. When there's not as many daily chores, then they're more willing to help with those
I
things
love
as
that.
well.
I also have I guess it's my kids' ages too, but this seems to be working well on one of the acrylic frames that you got me to organize. Instead of listing out all their chores, because I gave up, I have been listing things that I need help with around the house and putting dollar amounts by it. Yes. So when they're like, I want to do it, I want some money, I'm like, go check the list. Yeah. So like Adeline, Mr. Cleaned like all around like the door handles for the garage and like the door frames and the banisters. Yes. And like it took her 5 minutes, but like, I mean, she earned, I can't remember how much I gave her for that. I gave her there was a lot to Mr. Clean around here, the walls and all of a sudden I'm like, what's happening? Yeah. I think I gave her like $10 for it because she worked for like, I don't know, 20 minutes.
That's exactly how we do it too. I just like make a list and then we just pick from it. So, and that's kind of like the whole, like, every night kind of 10-minute, 20-minute cleanup. I try to live by this rule that I heard one time years ago in a podcast. They said, live by the rule of like, if somebody called you and said like, I'm going to be there in 30 minutes, like you would be able to tidy your house. Yes. And don't ever let it get beyond the 30-minute cleanup because then it just gets too overwhelming.
That's the goal for summer.
Yeah. So that's like, rather than this like, oh, clean up as you go, it's like, clean up as you go, but just always keeping in mind this like 30 minutes, I could tidy my house. Like it doesn't have to be spotless, but you could tidy your house in 30 minutes.
Company can come over.
Exactly. So
oh my gosh.
That's kind of the rule I try to live by. And
so do you guys do that as a family, like after dinner, theoretically? And even with sports and all that kind of stuff, like you just find a moment.
Yeah, exactly. And, sometimes it's not after dinner because of sports or whatever it is. Yeah. But I think, when they're really cleaning, when they're making their bed and kind of tidying before school, like then it doesn't really get to a point of too messy. Yeah. And I do just live by that, like clean up as you go for myself. Like when I'm making dinner, I'm as soon as I'm done with a spoon, I'm putting it in the dishwasher because
Ooh,
it just gets too overwhelming. Then if I
yes.
look and see a huge pile of dishes in the sink after dinner, I'm like, I don't want to do that.
No.
So I just do it as I go, and then I don't have that at the end. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like the whole, like, if you can clean up as you go with really anything, or you live
Yes.
by this 30-minute rule, you never get to that point of like, oh, this is so overwhelming, I can't
I
even
love
think
that.
about it.
I was just thinking about what our cleanup would look like during summer. I need to do dishes as
Yeah.
I go, as I cook, because I throw it all in the sink and then I'm
Yeah.
just so sad. And
Yes.
then they sit there for
Yeah.
days. Do you only let your kids eat in the kitchen?
That's the rule, but
Right.
they don't
Right.
actually do
Same.
that.
Same. And
So
that's where I feel like I would find like the smart food popcorn bags in the living room. And then I'm like,
yes.
ah,
Yeah, yeah. And so summer is different because obviously they're home a lot longer during the
right.
day. So you might not want to wait until at night to clean
Yeah.
up everything. So
Yeah.
there may be like a midday or, whatever it is,
Yeah.
cleanup. And maybe it's like that kind of like around that 3 o'clock time, or like before you go to the pool or
Yep.
whatever your routine is. Like
Yeah.
before we go, we have 10 minutes to clean
Yeah.
up as much as we can in 10 minutes.
Yes.
So that it's not overwhelming that night when we're trying to clean it all up.
I
So
love that. And I'll do like everybody pick a room.
yes.
And like I'll team them up because I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'll usually put a big kid and a little kid. And
Yeah.
I've had to teach the big kids to be like, you have to give the little guys specific things to do.
Yes.
Otherwise they just stand there.
Yes.
And then the big kids get so annoyed. They're like, Ethan's not doing anything. It's
Yeah.
like Ethan was 7 or 6 and 7. And like, he didn't know
Yes.
what to do. So now they're more prescriptive.
Yeah. I think that's the key with kids, especially young kids, is
Yeah.
you can't just like clean your room. Like
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
too big of a task for them. Like
Yeah.
you have to break it down. Like, okay,
Mm.
first I want you to put your clothes away. Then I
Mhm.
want you to, vacuum. And then I want you to make your bed. And then these are the 4 things that you have to do to clean your room. Like
Yeah.
you have to be really specific. And that might mean like creating a checklist for every room in your house of like, what does clean look like?
Right.
It's all of these things, and then it's clean, because just saying clean your room doesn't mean much to them.
No,
Like,
it sure
they
doesn't.
might think it looks clean.
I'm
So
like, oh my God,
yeah,
that's not clean.
exactly.
I try and say, I can't get my kids to make their bed, which I like, I am so lost if I don't start my day with a made bed.
Yes.
But I'm like, I need to be able to see all of your floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't like that.
Yeah. And also like choose your battles. Like if
For sure.
when we organize a
Yeah.
house, like every drawer is perfectly file folded.
Mhm.
Is that the reality at my house and my kids' rooms? No, it's
Yeah.
not,
Okay.
because I care more that my kids are helping like put their own laundry away,
Yeah.
or that it's just getting in the drawer. It's
Yep.
okay if the drawer is a mess.
Yes.
If I want to go in and reset the drawer and file fold it, I can.
Right.
But I do not expect that out of them. So you kind of have to pick your battles. I would rather have a cleaned up room with everything shoved in the drawers
Yes.
than have like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to nitpick how the file folding happens.
Right.
So,
If you put your books back on the shelf and they're not in rainbow order, like, I want
it's
them.
okay. Yes,
It's okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
If I want to do it, I can
Uh-huh.
go in and do that, but that's on me.
Ooh, I'm taking big, deep breaths right now. That
Yeah.
feels right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such good calibration, because
Yeah.
also their version of a made bed is not going to be my version
Exactly.
with tight corners and all the
Yes.
things.
And I will definitely go in and redo it, but that's like for me, like
Yeah.
I don't expect that out of them. So
Yes.
just kind of figuring out what is a realistic expectation for them as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how we're going to manage sort of mess over the summers. We're going to
Yeah.
get the family involved. We're going to think about the things they can do. We're going to sort of manage our own expectations to be like, okay, what is an age appropriate task for you?
Yes.
And kind of like do it as a family.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've cleaned, we've edited,
Yeah.
we've got systems, we've got chores. What kind of like, I'm going to say zones again. What zones are like, how are we doing like sunscreen and pool? And like,
Yeah.
what are those like grab and go kind of things that we're doing around the house, or like camps, or how do we, cause we're trying to get people out.
Yes.
I think leaving is really hard. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what I'm just continuing to get stuck on.
Yeah.
So like, what are our things for getting all the people out of the house to go do
Sure.
activities?
Yeah, definitely creating a zone for those like grab and go things. So sunscreen, like check the expirations. I bet like half
Ooh.
of them are expired. You keep what you
God,
need, refresh it before summer
yeah.
comes. That's a big one. And thinking about everything you need. Like my kids were doing swim, so we would have, a swim bag that has
Mhm.
everything you need for swim in it.
Mhm.
But that's not necessarily our pool bag that we then take to the pool.
Totally.
So you're going to have like different bags for different things.
Yes.
Also, your car is another one for summer, like
Yes.
getting that ready. That I feel like spring is the big one for me, getting the car ready.
Yeah.
'cause
Sports
all the
ready.
sports,
Yes.
yeah.
For sure.
So just having all the things you need in there, and clearing it out of things that you don't need anymore, can really help. And I try to keep like, like things like a blanket, like in case we want to stop and have a picnic, or in case it's cold at a baseball game, or
yes, like
whatever
this week. Oh my God.
Exactly.
Freezing.
Yes. Yeah. So having all those little things in your car is helpful. And I like the mudroom and the garage are really the biggest things that I would definitely do before summer. So
Yeah.
editing, clearing everything out, and only keeping what you really need in there is
I
the
love
best.
that. And I
best
love
thing.
like have your pool bag
Yeah.
packed and refreshed. Oh, here's an
Yeah.
interesting one. So for us, for the pool bag, it's like 4 goggles.
Hmm.
So we have our swim team bags. Everyone has their own bag because they did competitive swim for a little bit.
Yes.
So everyone's got their own bag with their own stuff. They're responsible for it.
Uh-huh.
How do you like my kids lose everything at the
Yeah.
pool? I'm like, you can wear one flip flop home, or like, I don't know. I'm pretty hardcore about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
these are your toys. I like, we'll go on Target and I can like, you can pick out all of
Sure.
your pool toys. These are yours. Like, I also expect you to share.
Yeah.
But like, when we come home, this is on you to bring home. And as your pile whittles, I'm sorry, bro, but like,
Right.
this was your responsibility. I will
Yeah.
buy them, but you're in charge of keeping them. But man, I can tell you, like, they are in lost and found looking for goggles all the
Yes.
time because we lose our goggles all the time.
Yeah. And
It's
and
killing
it
me.
does happen. And I think too, like, I know everybody just tends to like throw everything in the pool bag,
Yeah.
but it is helpful to have like little pouches inside of the pool bag. Like,
Yeah.
here's your goggles, so you can check before you leave that there are 4 goggles back in there.
Ooh,
Kind of make
yeah.
sure that, and it gives the kids an easy way to see, like, oh yeah, I do have my goggles. They're in the bag.
They're
So
in the bag.
if you separate it out a little bit, that might help with the accountability of making sure
Yes.
that they see that their goggles are in the bag.
Their goggles are actually in the bag.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. I can do pool
Yeah.
bags in the pool bag.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite pool bag?
No,
I
I'm
don't
not really
either.
picky, but I do love the like mesh zipper pouches. You can Google
Yeah.
mesh zipper pouch on
Yeah.
Amazon or
Yeah.
anywhere and get them. They're just like little pouches. They're very wipeable
Yeah.
and they're a great way to like organize inside of the pool bag. They have all different sizes. So
I just got so inspired.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like I have those downstairs already.
Yeah, I'm sure
Okay.
you do.
I know, right? I'm sure I binge bought them for something. Okay. Okay. So we're going to like, I have my swim team bag that we're just going to
Mhm.
like keep on staff. And then I've got my pool bag that we're going to keep on staff, like a park bag that's got
Mhm.
different kinds of toys in that.
Yeah.
How are we organizing the garage?
The garage is a big one. So in the garage, I think the biggest thing we see is like all the kids' sports stuff or like balls and chalk and things like that. So
Yeah.
I love a ball cart.
Yeah. Ooh.
Same thing. You can search ball cart on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually they have different, they're on wheels, which is great because then they can pull them out into the driveway,
Yes.
play with it, and then pull it back in.
Yes.
There's, spaces for bats and balls and all the things. So
Uh-huh.
that is great.
Yep.
And then any sort of like chalk or bubbles or anything like that, like get rid of the cardboard box the chalk comes
Yes.
in and put it into a plastic container. It's
Yes.
going to go everywhere. If you
Yes.
leave it in, the cardboard's going to break. It's going to be a mess.
It does.
Yeah,
You're
get
so
rid of the
right.
packaging, put it into a bin. And I like to do like open bins
Uh-huh.
if possible, if you have space for it. So you're not stacking them. So
Yeah.
make it as easy as possible for the kids to get out and for them to put away.
Put
because
away.
If it's too complicated, they won't do it.
No,
So,
they
yeah.
won't do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So like almost don't over engineer it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Wall space is the big one in garages, like track systems, get things up off the ground.
Yeah.
A garage is really probably one of the spaces that we do the most for
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
because it's the space nobody wants to do. And,
No.
And honestly, I think I would say it's probably the most impactful space in a house.
Agreed.
Because you'd use it every single day, no matter what the season is. But yeah, having a garage organized, it tends to be everybody's like, just throw it,
Right.
catch all space.
Yes.
And so getting that organized can be really impactful in your day to day.
What do you do with bikes? I have
Yeah.
bikes for the 5 of us, scooters for some of them. Some of them
Sure.
have dirt bikes. Like it is a motorized, it's just,
Yes.
there's a lot of wheels in
Yes.
there. What do I do?
So I like to put bikes on the wall, even if you're not always storing them on the wall,
Yeah.
because if it's too hard for your kids to get on
Yeah,
and off,
right.
but you can put them up there in the winter and it'll save you a lot of space. So there's a product called Steady Rack,
Okay.
and they're bike systems that you put the bike up onto the wall and then they kind of fold onto each other so they don't stick out too far, which is, it's really cool. So those are great, and the kids can do it. You just pop the bike up on the back wheel and slide it on, so the kids don't have to lift it or anything.
Ooh.
So it's really great. I would say kids like 8 and up can do it themselves.
I'm literally gonna have to buy it.
Yeah, so those are great. And then, scooters and things, they have like those little stoppers for scooters that you can just roll them onto so they don't roll everywhere.
I need that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
so
Googling scooter stopper.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like little cups that the wheels slide
Like
into.
slide into?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So
I absolutely need this.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, just get things up off of the ground if you can.
Yeah.
Even if they're down and, for the week, and then you put them up once the kids are done with them for that week, you have a rainy day and you put them up, that's fine. Or you wait till winter and you put them up, but having a place for them to go, it's really going to create floor space in your garage.
I think I literally am so inspired. I just want to like cancel the rest of my day and go do my
Yes, go
garage
organize.
right now. Okay. So my last question is everyone's got like the water slides,
I
bouncy
know.
houses, water things. Like, what are your system for that? Because it's soaking wet. Like
Yeah.
that thing is the bane of my existence, but my kids love it.
Yeah.
What do we do with
Um,
slip and slides and all that kind of
I
stuff?
mean,
How do we store
you
those?
have to dry them out before you store them, which is the worst part because if you
Ugh.
don't, they're gonna get moldy.
Yeah. I've been
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So, but we do like a large tote. If you can find some on wheels, like Christmas tree totes that are on
Oh,
wheels, you can use those for like the water slides, and then you can wheel it out there. So
yes.
that's a great. And I would store the pump, the extension cord that you like, store everything together so that there's a
Ooh.
one-stop shop for grabbing that, and you can store it in one of those big Christmas tree bins.
That's literally perfect because
Yeah.
otherwise I'm just dragging a dead body across
Yes.
the
Yeah.
backyard and like,
Exactly.
oh my God. And
Yeah.
that's perfect to do that. Because now like my kids can borderline set it up themselves,
Right.
but they're always like, where's the extension cords?
Yes.
Where's the blowers?
Make it easy.
Oh my God, we're doing it. There's going to be
Yes.
so many Christmas trees in my garage.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any product that you know of that if it does get funky to spray on it? I don't know.
I don't
If
know.
any mom out there knows,
No.
can you let us know?
Yeah, I don't
Ugh.
know.
Okay. Okay. I think those are all my major summer challenges,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Can you
I think
think of
you're ready
anything?
for summer.
I think I'm ready for summer. I think we're all ready for
Yeah.
summer. Oh, and I feel much more empowered and more level set about chores. This feels really, really good.
Yeah. I think that's like something I'm really passionate about is just like inspiring kids and letting them be independent. Like
Yes.
they want to be independent. And
Yeah.
I think one of the things that like we see as adults is
Mhm.
we struggle with letting go of things. But if you start young with your kids and letting them make the decisions,
Yeah.
like you said, like my kids are hoarders, but and
Yes.
that's okay.
Right.
But
Right.
if you start young, then
Yeah.
they learn. It's truly a life skill that they have to learn. And the
Yeah.
more they do it, the
Yeah.
more that they're going to exercise that muscle and get better at it. And
I
so
love that.
starting small, starting with like, okay, let's just go through the stuffed animals or whatever it
Mhm.
is and say like, you can only keep what fits in here, or you can
Yes.
keep your favorite 20 or whatever it is, but giving them a number and starting small is really key. But it is a life skill that I think a lot of people, haven't done their whole life. And that's why you become an adult and it's really hard for you to let go of things. So starting when they're young is really important.
I was just picturing me trying to get any of them to part with their stuffed
Yeah.
animals. And
Don't start with stuffed animals.
I
That's a
know,
hard one.
right? But like I was just picturing us even on a rainy day, like we have the bins, the treasure
Yeah.
bins, because you set that up for us.
Yeah.
And they need some serious editing because I want them to be nice and light before we start summer because that's when all the
Yes.
treasures come home. So maybe even with the stuffed animals, maybe I try like your system, like you did with the note cards, where it's like, just for good behavior and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, like sliding across the like Roblox or,
Yes.
little whatever it may be, just a
Yeah.
little here or there. Just be
Exactly.
like, you're doing it. You're doing a
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really is something that you have to teach your kids how to do,
Yeah.
and they're not going to do it perfect the first time, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And you don't want to push too much the first time. Just
Yeah.
like if they get rid of one thing, great. Like celebrate that, and then move on, and then try it again a
Ooh,
week later.
that's
You
good because
don't.
then they'll never want to do it with you
Yeah,
again.
exactly. You don't want to
Ah,
make it a negative thing. Like empower them and get them excited about the fact that they just got rid of one thing. Like,
yeah.
great, we're
Yeah.
going to give this to somebody who's really going to love it. Yeah.
Okay. And as your kids are getting older and getting teenish, tweenish, are they
Yeah.
still down to do all this stuff?
They are.
Awesome.
Which I mean, it may change at some point, but
Yeah. Yeah.
my kids will come to me and say, like, my closet's getting a little full. Do you think we can go through it? Like, they're now coming to me and saying that. And
That's so
that
beautiful.
did not happen overnight. Like,
Yeah.
that has been,
Right.
years
10
of
and
doing
12 years
this.
in the making.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And my boys are so different. Like, one of them is like very orderly, and the other one is like, could care less.
Yep. Right.
He's the hoarder. And even he's now coming to me and saying that like he's doing it himself. So it can happen. They can get there. It just has to be something that they practice over time.
I needed to hear the celebrate just getting rid of one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because this is like a true behavior change.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Any last organizing tips before I switch our gears again?
I think we covered it.
I mean, we covered so much. Oh, okay. Then I would love to switch gears to just like, I love to kind of wrap every episode, even though I could literally ask you 75,000 more organizing questions, into just sort of female empowerment and wishes for women. I would love to start, starting your own business. Can you just give some examples of how women supported you when you were starting your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you and your friends were one of them. I remember there's two examples. One, your group of friends went to lunch and we're all chatting because one of them had worked with us.
Yeah.
And the next week we got like 4 inquiries from
Right.
all of your friends. And we always ask people how they found out about us. And all of them were you guys, each other are
We
talking
were
about it, which
literally
was
sitting at
amazing.
Sleepy Bee, and I think I was like, Danielle's coming to organize my life because it's all turned upside down. And they were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And it was just like, it's so referral is
Yes,
huge.
totally. And then there
Supporting
was
women's
another,
businesses.
yeah, there was another woman who I'll never forget. She reached out to me and she told me how she found out about us, and it was from another friend. And
Cool.
she said they were at dinner, with a girls' dinner, and this is like a group of high level corporate women, and they were sitting around the table, and they asked each other to share like one thing that was like really helping them in life right now. It could be a
Ooh,
product, it could be anything. And
yeah.
and the one person shared us, and I was like, oh my gosh, like how special is that
I'm
she
so,
chose that? Like it was just so cool. And I think that, gosh, I just can think of so many examples of things like that have happened,
yes.
that have just brought. I mean, I could go on all day about how
Yeah.
special our clients are and how much it
Yeah.
means to us, that people choose to work with us. It's a very intimate like
Yeah,
thing to let
totally.
people into your home, and you feel embarrassed and you feel all the things, but to let someone in your home, I mean, we see it all. Like
Oh, I
we
can
go
only
through the
imagine.
underwear drawers, we,
Yeah,
we go
right.
through
You're
it
in
all.
it.
So
Yeah.
you really have to be ready to let somebody in. And so for somebody to let us into their home and to go through all of their things, it's really special that people trust us with that. So,
Well, you certainly have earned it.
well,
You're like,
thank you.
first of all, you do a phenomenal job. And like, I think that not only is you do such a great job of like the actual organizing part, which is like, of course, your sort of tangible
Sure.
output, but you're so mindful of the experience of your clients, which is, I think, really what sets businesses apart
Yeah.
when they're like, you started a business and you've changed your model because you realized how taxing it was on your clients to sit with you and go through the
Yeah.
process. And that was really painful. And you're like, I can alleviate not only the organizing part, but some of this like mental load and
Yes.
the challenges that come with that, which is so wildly smart.
Yeah.
But I think that probably is why you're getting all these great referrals.
Yes.
But I love that. I think just the little simple stuff of talking about people's businesses, like trying people's businesses,
Yeah.
popping in, sharing those with others, because the women behind these businesses are, working their butts off,
Yeah.
building something that they so deeply care about. And just to like continue to spread the word is so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Every time somebody, shares or whatever it is, it just means so much to me. I think
Yeah.
that I don't know that people realize like how much that something like that means when you're a woman
I
business owner. So
I couldn't agree
yeah,
more.
women
Even
supporting women.
women supporting women, even
Yeah.
like, I know this seems silly, but like liking and sharing things on social.
Yes.
Social's so hard right
Yeah.
now. The stupid algorithms,
Yes.
and like they're just like, well, let's press the mix up button
Yeah.
and change it. And it's like, I really, when I teach the marketing part of my course, I really, really recommend to women to make sure that they are marketing their businesses well beyond social, and that
Yes.
social can be all consuming, and it should actually be the least, you have to be so
Right.
efficient with it. So it's to be the least consuming part of your marketing, or truly in running your business, because you still
Yeah.
have to run the business for the rest of the day. But for even just the little likes, the little comments, the little
Yeah.
shares, like that massively helps people's businesses visibility
Yes.
to a way where I don't think if you're a business owner or a content creator that you would know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It
Yeah,
means so much.
it really does. Do you have any tips or tricks for how you've grown on social, or what's working or what's not working? Or
Yeah. I mean, I think it's been a lot of when the algorithm wasn't the
yeah,
algorithm, there
yeah,
was a lot more opportunity to grow, and
yeah,
that's kind of when I grew the most. And it was a lot of other people sharing. I think
yeah,
having just it doesn't even have to be like anything new
mhm,
content.
yeah,
It you
right,
can it's just sharing things that are I don't share anything that's like not true to what I am or true
yeah,
to what I'm actually doing
yeah,
in my own house and for my own family. And I think being authentic, and that's
hmm,
really just the way to go, because people can see that and
yeah,
people want to share that. I think that like, sharing tips for me is the biggest thing. Like people are like, oh my gosh, I want to try that,
yes,
and those are really shareable things. So when you're
yeah.
sharing tips, so just being authentic, I think is really the key to growing.
And I think it's so generous of you. And I think it's important for business owners to give a lot of those things away for free on social, like tips,
Yeah.
for
Yes.
example, or, like if I have any insight for running a business or whatever,
Yeah.
give as much, because they will never be able to do what you do. And
Exactly.
that is why they pay you. But like to be able to have those added benefits and those little light touches of
Yeah.
how else can I help you in just your day to day? Or did you just
Yes.
need a reminder that like you're doing a great job, or like
Yeah.
all the things? I think that kind of stuff really
Absolutely.
helps on social.
Give it all away for free. I remember one time I was at the Container Store and I was shopping for a client, and
Mhm.
a woman stopped me and was like, in her cart was like all the products that I typically recommend. And
Yeah.
she was like, oh my gosh, you're Danielle. Like, I just saw this. I'm buying all these things. And it was like, I went home, of course, and told my kids I was a celebrity.
Absolutely, you
Because
are.
I was.
Literally.
They did not
Yes.
buy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just so cool to see someone taking those tips and implementing it.
Yes.
It's not taking business away from me. Like,
No.
she's going to organize her house herself. No matter what, like
Right.
now she has the tips to do it.
And
So
she's probably going to be so excited to tell someone the tips that she learned
exactly.
from you. And then that next friend who doesn't have it in them to organize or just isn't as
Right.
passionate about it as she is going to call you for business.
Exactly.
And that's just like, that's how the world works. It's how
Yes.
business works.
Exactly.
All the things.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's really,
Yeah.
hopefully it's really helpful to women who are we're all out there hustling. And I feel like so many of us get lost for a million reasons on social. So
Right.
I think that was really helpful because your account is super strong and has great engagement and like, a ton of followers. And so I think that's so helpful for people to hear who are just getting started or still going.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a couple amazing ways how women can support women. I always like to also end on what are your wishes for women in the future or like, the next generation or just for all of us right here and now? What are we hoping for women?
Absolutely. So I think that there is this stigma around women feeling like either whether it's coming from themselves or their spouse or whoever, that they feel like they should know how to organize or they should be able to do it themselves. We see it a lot where clients are like, oh, I want to hire you, but I don't want to tell my husband. And I hate that stigma because it's like, this is not something that you should know how to do. It is truly a skill to be able to come in and space plan and figure out what the system should be. And then once we set it up, it's so easy for you to maintain.
Yeah.
You can maintain it on your own, but the setting it up is not something that you should feel like you have to do yourself or you should know how to do. I think that sometimes people worry about, I don't want to hire somebody because I feel like I should be able to do this or should know how. And it's just not the case.
It's just not the case. That's like also, I feel like that is tangential to people being like, I don't want to hire for childcare. I stay home.
Yes.
You're also drowning in children and responsibilities and stuff. And if you need to, I don't know, do any form of childcare, whether it's like go to the gym and stare at a wall for an hour while your kid's in the childcare class or to hire someone to come hang for a few while you go get some fresh air. Like, I think those are like, there is a lot of pressure for women and sort of how they manage their home. And I hadn't ever thought about it relative to like, how do you actually set up an organizational system?
Right.
But it is truly space planning. Like I can't pick the right Tupperware for leftovers to save if the world's safety depended on it, we would all be dead because I'll pick a bowl that is as big as the universe for 3 bites of spaghetti and I'd be like, nailed it.
Yeah.
And like, I can't space plan like you can. Absolutely not.
And even like knowing what products work and things like that. Like, we have years of experience in doing that. And so it saves you a ton of time. I think that investing in hiring somebody to help you organize your space is really an investment in taking back your time and your stress. And you can maintain it after that. But getting the system in place is not something that is easy to do. And so we're here to help.
I love that. Women, just take the pressure off. You don't have to know how to do this.
No.
Oh, this has just been an absolute delight. Oh my gosh. And I feel like I want to have you back seasonally and we can just like give tips for, okay. Oh my God, I just got so excited. This is incredibly self-serving, but I know other women want to hear this as well. Oh my God. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. So if people want to be able to find your tips and tricks, where do we find you? If we want to work with you, how do we do it? Give us all the things.
Yeah. So on Instagram, Simplify in Style is our local Cincinnati home organizing account where, you can hire us to work with us. And then I share a bunch of like lifestyle and my own kind of personal organizing tips on Simplify with Danielle on Instagram. Yeah.
I love that. So even if you're not in Cincy, like follow on Simplify and Danielle, because I also follow that one. And it's like all sorts of tips and tricks that have like, especially if you've already put systems in place for me, I'm like, okay, how am I maintaining? What am I doing? What other spaces do I need to be thinking about? It's really high value content. And it's just super fun to watch because I also geek out on organizing. But I can't do what you do because and that's great. Everyone's got their own things that they're great at.
Exactly.
Oh my God, this has been so fun. I can't wait to go organize my whole entire garage. I'm so inspired. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was
great. Have loved hearing your story as a business owner. I so appreciate your openness and honesty about how you've had to evolve and change because how you originally set, you're like, wait, that doesn't quite work. And like to be nimble and then to give us all these amazing tips. This has truly been a really, really fun episode to record. So I'm so grateful. Oh, all right, you guys. I'm sure these will be cut into all sorts of tips and tricks. Feel free to share. Absolutely reach out to Danielle. She is an absolute pleasure to work with and she's so talented, as is everyone on her team. They're just so lovely. And I just could not recommend more. But I feel so inspired and way less overwhelmed and ready
Well,
for
good.
summer. So thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time. Well, that's the end of this episode, but promise me, you won't stop here with whatever it is you're feeling or dreaming about. I hope you leave today feeling empowered to live life just as you see fit. If this podcast was helpful to you, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. I genuinely just want to help women live the life they dream about. So if this type of content tracks with you, subscribe to this podcast or visit our website, writeyourownstory.co, to download digital courses or to grab a journal and a mug to just dream in and dream with. It's your life, lady. Do you. And just remember, I'm rooting for you, and you've totally got this.